Welcome to Troy Running Blind. This is an intro video, a little prelude to Saturday's premiere, which is the Dark Side of Blindness. And what I want to talk about today has to do with explaining a couple of my struggles that I've experienced over the years and in the beginning of my life when I first lost my sight. And to give you some context as to what to expect in upcoming videos for the Dark Side of Blindness series. So make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, share this link, and look for that video on Saturday. Alright, so when I first lost my sight, I did not like using the word blind. It was a word that was just, it set me in the wrong way. It set me off. It made me feel helpless. I did not like using the word blind. I didn't use the word blind. And it wasn't until I went to training that I learned that blindness is just one of my characteristics. Just like my hair color, just like my height. It doesn't define who I am. It's simply a characteristic. This is one of those words that you will often hear many people not use. They'll use in place of it the words visual impairment. Really all blindness is it's just that you are on the spectrum, whether you're a high partial, low partial, or you have shadow vision, or maybe you're totally blind like myself. That's all it means, right? There should be no negative connotation with the word blind. So I would encourage you to call yourself a blind individual and not a visually impaired person. That was one of my struggles in the very beginning, and for many years now it has not been a struggle of mine. In fact, I'm proud to call myself a blind man. I don't really think of myself as a blind man though. Just think of myself as Troy. I don't see myself, even though I know I'm blind, I don't see myself that way. It's just who I am. So a couple of the other struggles that I've faced over the years is in the very beginning after I lost my sight was I did not want to use a cane. Using a cane to me, this here was an embarrassment to me. Using this white cane was an embarrassment. I did not have any intentions of using a cane. In fact, I didn't for the first 6 months or so after I lost my sight. And for those of you who are new, I do give a little background info in one of my first videos on this channel, and talks about how I lost my sight. But I am totally blind. I had no intentions of using this thing, and it was an embarrassment to me, and I literally stayed at home. I did get out. I used my mom and dad as a sighted guide, and the only place I really went was in my backyard. And it wasn't until I lost my sight in August of 2001. Let this car pass. I lost my sight in August of 2001, and I didn't start using a cane until June of 2002. I did not want to. I kind of saw this white cane as something dirty, demeaning. But what I didn't realize was I was really limiting myself. I had 2 young boys at the time as a single father, raising them, and the springtime started to roll around and I wanted to go do stuff, but I couldn't couldn't do it without, friends or family. And once I went to training and they put this white cane in my hand is when I realized that, wow, this is freedom. This white cane to me is freedom. If you can't travel, you cannot be independent. And I realized early on that, okay, this is who I am, right? This cane is an extension of my body, and I've embraced it ever since. But this definitely had negative connotations to me in the very beginning for a long time. Another struggle of mine was, believe it or not, eating in public. I ate at home, but I remember the first time after I got out of the hospital, my parents took me out for a fish fry. We had a local place that did a fish fry every Friday night, and they picked me up and took me, and I remember my mom got my plate for me, brought it back to me to the table, and I remember me picking up a scoop of mashed potatoes and gravy, and I bumped my cheek with it. I didn't get it in my mouth, and I was so upset that I didn't end up eating. We ended up leaving and going back home. And I just was so emotional about that. It's like, how am I going to do something so simple, such as eating out in public, eating in front of people, and I can't even get the food in my mouth. And it was a real struggle for many months. But what kind of got me through that was something that a friend of mine had told me. And he'd been a friend of mine since I was a teenager. And he told me, Troy, you got to stop worrying about what other people think of you. And I didn't really take that in at first, because I was just too soaked in emotion. But over the years, I've realized, man, that was such a wise thing to say to me at the time. And I often, I love to go to the gym and run on the treadmill. And I don't have the best gait. Sometimes I find myself leaning a little left or a little right. And sometimes I feel like I'm running a little sideways. And I realized early on, I'm like, I don't really care what I look like to people, because I'm out doing what I can that makes me happy. And so what if it's a little bit different than someone else? It's okay to be different, all right? Nobody's the same. If everybody was the same, the world would be a boring place. If we were all the same sizes and shapes, and we all had the same jobs, or we all talked the same, had the same voice, the world would be such a boring place. So you have to stop worrying about what other people think of you and what you look like, all right? It doesn't mean that you don't want to present the best you. So for instance, if you're a person who looks like a bull in a china shop when they're with their cane at the mall or in a store, that's something you may want to, improve upon, right? You want to present the best version of yourself. So I say this because I want people to realize that it's okay to be blind, it's okay to be different, and you can still work on creating a better you. I create a better me all the time. So even as a O&M instructor, I struggle with certain venues, like large open areas like convention rooms, or like a convention hotel. large ballroom. Sometimes I still struggle in navigating those larger rooms like that. All right, I'm not perfect. There's things that I don't do as well as other O&M instructors, and then there's things that I do better than them. So it's about improving. So make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Make sure to believe in yourself, and tune in for this upcoming series, which is going to deal with those things often left unsaid, the dark side of blindness.